Good evening, my student from University Malaysia Pahang. My name is Dr. Adolika Zakaria from the Department of Computer Science, University of Ilorin. You are welcome to this class. Today we shall be discussing on the following. So we'll talk about what is a firewall in this unit. We'll talk about the types of firewall, the applications of firewall, configuring firewall, where we are going to look at an active learning approach. We'll look at a sample firewall, and then we see how we can configure rules for this sample firewall. So we're also going to look at some free firewall software, apart from the one that came with the operating system. Then we'll also discuss the limitations of firewall, and then we conclude the unit. So actually, there can be different scenarios that can occur, on a network. If you look at this kind of scenario that we have here, you can see that we have different computers connected on the network, on the internet. As you can see, we have system B, system A, and other systems also connected on the internet. And because it's an internet, so it's a global network. So which means that each of these systems can communicate. So let's say, for example, there is a particular web page or files for a particular web page located on system B, for example, which we call legitimate system here, as you can see. And let us assume that a user called Jane is trying to access a website on this system, which is on this server, system B, and that website is called www.test.com. In a situation whereby there is nothing that prevents attackers from accessing the communication of Jane, then it means that attacker will be able to penetrate easily into Jane's communication, and then anything can happen. So attacker can tap into the network and eventually get succeeded in getting information that Jane is trying to access. So in this kind of scenario, there is need for something that can prevent system A, in this case the hackers, from accessing the communication of Jane or tapping in, into the communication of Jane. And what this means is that there must be a kind of thing that should be placed, in between, such that it could filter those communications that we don't want into our network, and then allow those ones that we want into our network. So this kind of scenario, brought about what we call firewalls, as our first line of defense. Because if you are trying to access the internet, because it's a public place, there could be a lot of people connected on these platforms, which you don't even know. Then there is need for you to secure your own private network, your own trusted network from these kind of users. Okay, and that is the purpose of using firewall. So the firewall here is going to maintain what we call, if you look at this place, I call it access list. Okay, so the access list of firewall tries to keep track of those systems. It could even be application that you want to allow or those that you don't want to allow, such that if this kind of device called firewall is placed here, okay, it's placed in between here, okay, before this communication get through to Jane, then the firewalls will know that this is, attackers' communication. So, and then such system will be blocked. and that is the purpose of what we call firewall. So as we move on, we'll know more about firewalls. But on a general note, that is the essence of having firewall, on our network or our system. So what is a firewall? Firewall establishes a barrier between a trusted internal network and untrusted external network, such as the internet. Look at that definition. Trusted internal network, because you want to connect to the internet, you know that your own internal network is trusted to some extent, those systems that are connected on your internal network, but you don't know all those systems that are connected on the external network, which in this case we call the internet, and you want to try to connect to the internet. So then you need something that will establish a barrier, something that will be like will act like a filter, okay, in between your internal network and this internet, which is the untrusted external network, and that is the purpose of firewall. Okay, so we can also call firewalls a filter wall. In fact, I really like that. Okay, I really like using the word filter wall. So what do you mean by filter wall? Okay, something, a wall that filters something, filters communication, filters packet, filters, system, filters, all kind of things depending on your configuration. Okay, so it is not that a firewall will not have allowed some communications. It will allow them if those communications are within the authentic ones, but it will deny other communications that are not authentic, that belongs to malicious users. Okay, so that's why we call it a filter wall, a wall that try to filters the communications between the internal network and the external network. Then we say monitors incoming and outgoing network traffic and decide whether to allow or block specific traffic based on defined set of security rules. And that is another purpose, or another way we can look at firewalls. We have defined set of security rules, and then we use these security rules to say that, okay, based on these security rules, I want you to block these kind of things, that this security rule matches, and I want to allow, things that this security rule does not match, or depending on the kind of configuration you are trying to do. So that is what firewall does. Monitors incoming and outgoing traffic. Okay. Then firewalls also maintain a list of allow and not allow devices or applications. We can see here that I did not just say devices. It can also deal with applications. Okay, so if you remember your OSI model, where you start from the physical layer, you go to the data link layer until you get to the application layer, you will remember that at the data link layer, we can communicate using MAC address. And so I can easily, detect a particular device that I want, to block or allow on my network. Okay, so this kind of firewalls at this stage can be used for this purpose. At the same time, it could be at application level. Okay, whereby we get to the topmost level in the OSI model, and then we try to allow or disallow particular application based on port, the port number that the application is trying to use. So as we move on, you will learn more about what we mean by the application being allowed or being blocked using a firewall. Okay, so you get it. Firewall can be software, it can be hardware, or both. Okay, what I mean is that you could have a firewall that is purely software. Okay, a software program, and it's acting as a firewall, is trying to block or allow devices or application based on what you define. So it could be hardware. For example, you could have a router, that is configured to act as firewalls, and you could have both together like a firmware. Okay, so you could have a firewall that combines both the software and hardware together. That's what we mean by both. Now, another thing you can use firewall for is, for example, you can disallow employees from sending certain types of emails or transmitting sensitive data through outbound rules. We are going to discuss outbound rules. Outbound rules are rules that prevent communication from your network to the external network. For example, if you want to set rules that says that any communication that is moving out from my network, to the external network should be blocked or allowed. Then you set the outbound rules. That's what I mean by outbound rules. Okay, so you could say that I want to disallow employees, certain employees, or I want to disallow all employees from sending certain types of emails. So which means that you have to block them, okay, using the port that the email software uses to communicate on the network. So as we go on, you will learn more about that, how we can block the port. So you can do that by, the purpose of doing that is you are trying to come up with a kind of security check. Okay, all of you cannot send emails, but you can do what we gave you to do as your normal job. But to send emails, you have been blocked. So firewalls can be configured to do something like that. Prevent access to certain websites, okay, such as social media. For example, you can say that if social media wants to communicate with my network, okay, I want to block it. Then that means you must set what we call the inbound rules. Okay, for that purpose, you set the inbound rules. The inbound rules are rules that prevent, okay, allow or disallow communication from external network to your own internal network. It is the inbound rules that takes care of that. Now I believe you know the difference between outbound rules and inbound rules. You set inbound rules when you want to allow or disallow certain communication, from your system to the external network. And you set the inbound rules if you want to prevent, allow or disallow certain communication from the external network to your own network. So firewall can prevent outside computers from accessing computers inside the network. Definitely, I've explained that. Like firewalls can, prevent outside computers. You can have a particular list of IP or system, uh, in the access list that I told you earlier. And this will be taking care of allowing or disallowing a particular system. Okay. A company might choose to designate a single computer on the network for file sharing, and all other computers could be restricted. This is also possible. It's something you can do with firewall. If, for example, you say that let us give a particular system access to be able to send a file, okay, maybe using the FTP software, and all other computers, FTP communications are blocked on them. You say, okay, you cannot send, you cannot transfer a file on the network. So you can also do that using your firewall. Okay, so this is what we call the inbound and outbound firewalls. Or we can say that inbound and outbound rules have been set. So if you look at this place, you will see that in the inbound packet, this one allows the communication to go into your own system. Okay, as in the inbound packet. But at the same time, it is also blocking, is disallowing attackers coming from the internet from accessing your system. That is the purpose of the inbound file. Okay, we set a rule, and then we say that any communication coming from the internet through the inbound rules, you want to prevent them or you want to allow them, depending on the kind of configuration you have made. Likewise, you see here we have what we call the outbound packet. So in the outbound packet, any communication going out, oh, I don't want some communication to go out. So you block them. And then you filter it, you allow those ones that you want to go into the internet. So as you can see here, you can see the arrow coming from your system. This is your corporate network, and then through the outbound rules. So the outbound rules will block, or allow, communication coming from your network to the external network. Basically, firewalls can be categorized into two types. So we have the host-based firewall and we have the network-based firewall. Okay, so as the name implies, the host-based firewall are firewalls that are installed on the host machine. As you can see here, you can see that this computer has the firewalls on it. This one also has the firewalls on it. These different firewalls installed on these different systems, they are called host-based firewall. Then we have a firewall that controls communication on the entire network. For example, this is your LAN, your local area network. So you could have a firewall here that says that any communication coming from the external network, I want you to block or allow them, before they get to my network here. So this kind of firewall that you place here is called network-based firewall, and your router can serve that purpose. Okay, so I believe now you know the difference between the host-based firewall and the network-based firewall. What are the applications of firewall? What are the applications of firewall? The first one we look at is the MAC filtering. Okay, so it means that firewalls can do MAC filtering. The physical address filtering. You know that all devices on the network, they have their own unique address that is attached to them, and that's what called the media access control address. So the MAC address is unique to each of the LAN cards that you use. In fact, it is basically attached to the LAN card. So if you have your LAN card, has the MAC address, that is attached to it. So if you want to communicate, we know the device that is using this particular MAC address on the network. So as a physical address, you can configure a firewall to identify a particular physical address and then block it. Okay, so that is what we mean by MAC filtering. So it means that firewall can perform MAC filtering, MAC address filtering. Okay, the next one is port filtering. And you will notice that at the application layer, the last layer of the OSI model, you have different applications communicating on the network through what we call ports. Take, for example, your email communicate using port 25, port number 25. That is the SMTP. Okay. And your telnet could use something like port number 23. And your web server could use port like 80. So if you say that you don't want email to go through, then it means that you need to block or configure your firewall to block port 25. Maybe you are using the SMTP here for communication for the email. Okay, so that's what we mean by port filtering. So you can configure your firewall to say that, okay, if this particular application is trying to communicate using this port, I want you to block it. or I want you to allow it. So depending on your configuration. Okay. So if, for instance, port 70 and 89 is blocked, it means all applications using this port are blocked. You see, so that is one of the applications of Firewall. Another application of Firewall is what we call IP filtering. IP filtering, the IP address, which in this case is the logical address. It's not a physical address this time. It's not a MAC, it's IP. And at the layer 3, which is the network layer of the USI model, you communicate, you can use your IP for communication on the network. So each system, okay, has its own IP. So if you have an IP attached to a system, you could say that this particular IP, I want you to be, I want you to block it, or I want you to allow this particular IP address. So you can configure your firewall to do something like that. Okay. So it is also called packet filtering. Okay, this is also called packet filtering. In some cases, you may call it packet filtering. Okay, so it means the packet that is coming, attached with an IP address, I want you to, allow or block this particular packet. Firewall can also block range of IP addresses, not just a single one. This time around, it can block range of IP addresses. Then we have content filtering. In fact, there are some specialized firewalls that can be configured with specific keywords, and then they will block a system, okay, from accessing a particular email or web page using a specific keywords. So that is what we call the content filtering. In this case, I don't want you to look at this as your intrusion detection. No, it's not. It's not the intrusion detection system that we're talking about here. But there are some specialized firewalls that you can configure using keywords, and then they perform the content filtering based on that. This is called the stateless filtering, or you can also call it static filtering. Configuring firewall and active learning. Now, I want to show you how you can configure firewall using live demonstration. Okay, so firewall configuration using Windows firewall. So we want to use Windows firewalls here. We want to take Windows firewalls as an example. Okay, and you know that Windows has a built-in firewall. So this kind of firewall here is what we'll consider as host-based firewall, because it is embedded in your system, so it comes with your system. So you can use it to block or allow whatever communication that you want to take care of. So your Windows operating system has a free host-based firewall installed on it. And to access this firewall, you need to go to Control Panel, and then you click Window Firewall. Okay, so the Window Firewall looks like this, the Control Panel. So when you click on Windows Firewall, it's going to show you this interface. So from this interface, you can see that my firewall is on. That's why I'm having this green symbol here. And then you can see that Windows firewall state is on, which means that the firewall is on. Okay, so you can use this firewall to control communication on a private network or your public network. Your public network, like the network in the airport, the network in a cafe. Maybe you want to connect to a particular network in a cafe, or in a airport, or maybe in a hotel. Okay, so this is what we call public network. So you could have different rules configured for that purpose. So I will take you through these links here. As you can see at the left hand side here, I have allow an app or features through Windows Firewall. I have change notification settings, turn Windows firewall on or off, restore default, advanced settings. So we're going to look at this one by one. Most especially, we look at the first. We look at the advanced settings also. Okay, so how can we do that? How can we use them, to configure or control the communication on the network based on the firewall, rules definition? Okay, so the first one, which is allow an app or features through Windows Firewall. So this link, where you click this menu, is going to display this interface for you. So from this interface here, you can see the list of applications that you have, that Windows has already configured for you. Okay, so the firewall is monitoring these applications here. As you can see, these are different applications, and the rules for both private and public network has been configured for them. Let's say, for example, you want to allow or disallow another program or application using this firewall here, the Windows firewall. So you can click this button called Allow Another App. When you click it, it will take you to this platform, this interface, and then you can set the network type from here. For example, you can say it's public or private, and then you can select the application from here that you want the rules to apply to, and then you click OK. Basically, the Windows firewall is it operates up to the application layer, level. That's why you have it like this. So you see different applications, and then you have the different network configuration. For example, you have the private, you have the public, based on each of these programs. So you can add additional application to this list, and you can set rules for them. So as we move on, you learn that. Change notification settings. So you can change notification settings from here by clicking this menu, and then you can say, okay, maybe I want to turn off my Windows firewall. Oh, not recommended. So it is not recommended to turn off your Windows firewall. So please don't do that. Okay. So always keep your firewall on. So you can also check notify me when Windows firewall blocks a new app. Maybe you want firewalls to keep you, updated as it's blocking, particular application. So you can check this one. You can make these settings for both the private network and the public network. You can see you have similar settings for them. So it depends on your configuration. Okay, so always turn on the firewall. Then we have the advanced settings, and this is where we have most of the work. Then here you can see we have the inbound rules, we have the outbound rules, connection security rules, and monitoring. So we will take inbound rules and outbound rules. Most importantly, we take the inbound rules, and whatever we do in the inbound rules, you can do that for outbound rules, depending on your configuration. Like what you need to know here is what is inbound rules, which we have defined earlier, and what is outbound rules. Okay. So when you want to work with the inbound rules, you want to set the inbound rules, that rules that you want to configure, your firewall to use for inbound, communication. Any communication coming from the external network, this is the rules that I want to set against it. Okay, this is the place where you are going to set it. So as you are doing this, you are already configuring your firewall, and your firewall will be acting based on these rules that you have set up. Okay, so let's pick the inbound rules first. So for the inbound rules, when you click it, it will display this platform. Okay, so this platform, from here, you can now click new rule. You can see new rule here on the right hand side here, new rules. It means you are ready to define a new rule. Okay, so when you click new rule, it will show this platform to you, the interface here, where you have program, port, predefined, custom. Okay, so let's pick program. When you pick program, you click next. When you click next, you get to this interface. So this interface, you have two things: all program, this program path. So if you say all program, it does not mean that you are blocking all program. It means that I want the settings that I will do in the next stage to be applied to uh, uh, all the programs. The settings could be allowed, it could be denied, it could be anything. So okay, so if you the settings that you make in the next settings will be applied to your selection here. For example, the all program. So when you click next, then you have this interface where you can now say allow the connection, or allow the connection if it is secure, or block the connection. Okay, so you can specify that here. Maybe you want to allow the connection. Okay, it means any communication coming from the external network to communicating with any of your applications, on your system, or your program on your system, allow or block them. That is what you are saying. So when you do that, you click next, and then you finish your configuration. That is for program. Okay. Then for port, you can specify that this rules is applied to port. When you click the port, then you can choose the protocol that you want to use, maybe the TCP protocol or UDP protocol. And then you can say that all local ports, or you can say specific local ports. For example, if you say specific local port and say port 25, it means that you are blocking or you are allowing SMTP communication, like I said earlier. So when you click specific local port, then you now specify the port that you want to use. And then when you specify the port, then you click next. Okay, so when you click next, it takes you to this interface where you can say that you want to allow the connection maybe to this port number, or you want to allow it to be secured, and then or you want to block it. Okay, so you can make these settings. Okay, so that is for the inbound rule. The next one, which is predefined, is this one says that instead of defining things yourself, there are some predefined rules for you, which you can use. So from this list, you click predefine, and then you can click the drop down box here, the combo here, and then it drops down the predefined rules for you. So you can choose anyone here, and then you click next, and it takes you to the rules definition, the predefined rule definition for the specific selection which you have made in the previous interface. And then you click next, which will take you to the last place here where you can say allow this connection, or block this connection, depending on the specific operation that you want to perform. So there are some predefined rules also which you can work with. So I want you to explore them. Okay, please, my student, try to explore those things and see how your firewall behaves. Then the next one, or the last one, is the custom. And in the custom, you can specify a lot of things here. So when you click custom, you click next, it takes you to this interface. Then you can say that you want all program, or you want a specific program. That's what you want the rules to apply to. Remember, we're still in the inbound, and I have explained what we mean by inbound. Okay, so then you click next. When you select, for example, say all program, you click next, and then it takes you to this interface where you can specify the protocol type, or you can say for this local port or for this specified local port. Okay. And then for this remote port, sometimes in a dynamic communication, you could have the dynamic port. Uh, some application may be configured to communicate on dynamic port. So you can specify the port that is coming from the remote machine, that is from the external system, okay, and say that this port is what I want you to block. And on my local system, I don't want this communication to be allowed on this port, or I want it to be allowed on this port. That's what you are trying to say. Okay, remember I said that whatever thing you choose here still depends on the last settings you do. If your last setting is allowed, then all the things you have set here, will go with that settings. If the last settings you made is deny or block, everything here, will be taken for that configuration. So the local port is for your system. The remote, the port that the application that is communicating from the external is trying to use. Okay, so you could specify that, and then you now click next. So when you click next, then you can specify the IP address or addresses that you want to block or allow. So in this case, you can say any IP. Wow, all the IP. But don't do that. Or you can say these IP addresses. Then you now enter the IP. You add the IP to the list, and then you say this remote IP. Okay, I don't want you to communicate with this IP on my system, or I want you to communicate with this IP on my local system. I don't want this IP coming from external network to communicate with me, or I want this IP coming from external network to communicate with me. Okay, that's what this place is trying to say. So don't be confused. This is remote IP, while this is what? Local IP. Then when you are done with the settings, then you click next, and then you can now specify whether to allow or to block the connection. Okay, so that is what we'll do with the inbound rules. And I believe my students now understand how they can set rules, for their firewalls. In this case, we have taken the host-based firewalls that came with your Windows operating system as an example of for the firewalls configuration. In this case, we use the host-based firewall. So follow similar steps to configure your firewalls outbound rules. So it's very similar. Okay, so you can configure the outbound rules. When you say outbound rules, okay, it's just the rules that says that any communication coming from my system to the external network, this is the rules that I want to apply, to them. So you can set that also. Apart from the Windows firewall, there are also a number of free firewall software. Aside the built-in Windows firewall, there are several free user-friendly firewalls that you can use. You can install them. You can play around, with them. You can use them and see their behavior. But if you want to use them on your system, you must first of all disable Windows firewalls if you want to use them. Okay, so some of them are the Komodo firewall. I think so far, Komodo has been really trying about firewalls, specifications, and even ideas and some other security softwares and devices. So you can check Komodo firewall. You can install it. It's free, and you can make use of it. So we have also Tiny Wall. We have Zone Alarm. We have Peer Block. We have AVS firewall, and so on and so forth. So all these you can also use them on your system. What are the limitations of firewall? Firewall cannot enforce your password policy or prevent misuse of password. So, for example, say that this password must have this @ sign. It must be of this size. It must be so in length. No, firewall is not for that. So firewall cannot enforce such rules. That's one of the limitations. Firewalls are ineffective against non-technical security risks, such as social engineering attack. For example, if you are visiting a fake website, for example, and you are entering your maybe uh, bank account details or your login details, firewalls cannot prevent you from accessing such website. Okay, that's one of the limitations also. Firewall cannot stop internal users from accessing website with malicious code. So if you have a website and on this website it has malicious code, firewalls cannot prevent you from accessing those websites. And that is the purpose of having another layer of security, which intrusion detection system is good at this particular layer. Okay, but your first point, your first defense, your first line of defense is the what? Is the firewall. Okay, so at least to some extent, you have prevented some, illegal communication to your system. But not all can be prevented, as I've highlighted here. So you still need to have another layer, which, for example, the intrusion detection system will now be helpful for that purpose. Firewall cannot protect you from poor decision. So you make poor decision, you are on your own. Firewall will not, prevent you. That is another limitation. So firewall cannot protect you when your security policy is too weak. Your security policy is too weak, is too lax. Oh, firewalls cannot prevent you from, from that. So in conclusion, firewall is a network security device that filters incoming and outgoing network traffic. All about firewall.